Hello, it's Rebecca from Music Game Club. Why do I play games with my students? One of the reasons is that it connects and creates a bond with the students when I play with them. So games can bring also a more awareness of strategy. And so it's neat to see that a student is building their skill and strategy, but they're also learning a music theory concept at the same time. So no matter if you are working against an opponent or if you're working on a team with another student, it just creates a very special bond. There's a lot of laughter usually. There's a lot of tense stress, which can be exciting and fun. So we always need to remember to bring that element of like, oh, if we just score one more point, we get to win. So let's work together and figure out what the next answer is or whatever. Another reason I play games is because it helps students understand or get introduced to a music theory concept that they are not seeing in their music yet, or that is too hard for them. So for instance, if I introduced a beginner, say they've only been taking lessons for a few weeks, if I played a game with a beginner that introduced fourths, fifths, and sixths, so intervals, but they are not playing it in their music, what we're doing is we're understanding, so I'm teaching the child how to identify the intervals on paper and possibly even what they sound like. I'm equipping them ahead of time, so when they reach that moment in their music, when they're hearing and seeing fourths, fifths, and sixths on the page, it's like, oh, I already know this. So games are a great way to introduce a music theory concept early in a student's journey. Also, music games are great because you can play a game that reinforces something currently that the student is working on. So we can identify something in their music, we can work on a worksheet together, then we can sit down and we can play a game that reinforces that concept, then we can go back to their music and review it that way. So it's nice that games allow for lateral learning, so something that they're currently working on in their music, as well as something that is going to come in the future, and so I'm laying that foundation for them. Another example would be playing a circle of fifths game with a beginner. So beginners typically start out only playing in the key of C major, possibly in G major or F major, so we're talking one sharp or one flat or no sharps or flats. So why would I even care to show them or explain to them the circle of fifths? So it just brings a broader awareness to music, and it can bring excitement for them. Like there's so many levels to come, and so I'm laying that foundation and I'm prepping their minds for when they do reach harder levels of music. They're already equipped with things like, I understand this key signature, I know what tonic is, I understand how to handle what's to come in the music because I have more knowledge from the foundation that has been set by playing a game. Games are just plain fun. They bring an intensity away from the instrument. I typically laugh a lot when I'm playing games. I want that bond and that connection to take place, but I want it to be from a place of fun. So even though there can be intense strategies or intense moments during a game where it's like we're at the brink of someone losing or winning, it needs to just bring a lot of joy and laughter to that moment of, oh, one of us is about to lose and one of us is about to win. So I think that really helps us connect with students, especially our younger students. It infuses fun and engagement that wouldn't necessarily be there. So if I'm filling out a theory worksheet with a student, my emotional level will be a much lower, calmer experience for the student. But if we sit down and play a game, oh man, some of those emotions start to come out. I'm laughing more, I'm talking faster usually, and it's just more intense, it's fun. And so I think that's what helps students, their brains are more active and they're more aware. So it's fun, but it's also, we're learning a new concept at the same time. So that's what helps when you're playing a game, is you're creating like a new groove in your brain. You're learning something new while having fun. it helps with the retention because the students want to do that. They end up wanting to do play games every single week. And I have students, when they leave their lesson, a lot of them are bummed. They're like, oh, we didn't get to play a game today. So I always promise them, okay, next week we will start with a game. So I anticipate higher retention levels in studios that play games, where you have teachers playing games with your students, or when you are playing games with your students, creating that bond and that connection point with the student, and then relaying that information to the parent. That's a great way to keep your retention high in your studio. Playing games builds confidence and pride in a student. It's fun when you're a student and you beat your teacher. So I always make a big deal about that. And then of course those more advanced students that I've been playing games with for a long time, sometimes they they beat me. And so it's always so nice for the student to feel that true confidence and pride and like, I did beat my teacher. And then when a beginner, if I'm giving a beginner a lot of grace during a game, it's kind of nice for them to see that, oh, okay, you know, as we practice games week after week, your confidence and your ability and the speed of which you play a game, you're going to get to a point where at some point you will just beat me outright. So that's another way to think of games as you're building character, you're infusing pride and confidence into your students by playing games with them. And our games, I will remind you, our games are 5 minutes or less. We know that your time and the way you use your time in a lesson is crucial to the success of the student. And so you have a lot to cover in a 30-minute lesson or a 45-minute lesson. So we make sure that our games fit into that weekly rhythm.